This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. As the days get shorter and colder, it can really take a toll on how we feel. Maybe that means calling your grandma, writing a letter to your friend, finally grabbing lunch with someone you haven't seen in a while. And just like reaching out to a friend, starting therapy can take a bit of courage. BetterHelp makes it easy to start therapy. You'll be matched with a licensed therapist based on your needs and preferences so you can focus on your growth and goals. Not happy with your match? You can switch therapists anytime with no hassle. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether that's checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. And our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Navy at Notre Dame, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. A game that's really big for both teams' hopes for a college football playoff appearance right now. Notre Dame has almost completely recovered from his two season opening losses to Miami and Texas A&M. The Fighting Irish have won their last 6 games, and likely, the way they've been being ranked in other polls right now, likely just need to win their final 4 games to make it back to the college football playoff. But a loss in any of the 4 games would completely eradicate those aspirations of making the playoff. Navy probably won't be ranked tonight, and they're not ranked like Notre Dame, but the midshipmen still have everything to play for right now. Navy still sits atop the American Conference right now with an 8-1 record, and the winner of that league, like we said time and time again, will likely represent the group of 6 in the college football playoff. If Navy can pull off this massive upset, and you see right there, Notre Dame is favored by 26.5 points. If they could pull it off a huge upset, maybe the biggest upset of the year, it may just need to win the American Conference in order to make the playoff.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, when you look at what this could do for Navy, and especially coming off the loss to North Texas, you start to think about, okay, if they were to beat Notre Dame somehow, some way, and then they win this conference, they are unquestioned the best group of 5 team. They're going to the playoff. And honestly, with a win over Notre Dame, they may not even be the 12th seed at that point, especially considering you're talking about one loss to North Texas, who may finish the regular season 11-1. So you have that. And then as far as Notre Dame goes, look, every week is survive and advance, right? We'll see where they're ranked tonight in these college football playoff, obviously. And you're talking about it. Maybe they can work their way into it at 10-2, the way their offense is playing. But this has at least the potential, if you take it lightly, to be a tough game. And boy, I'm waiting for that game they have to play at Pittsburgh too. That's going to be a fun one. But Notre Dame got to keep the momentum going. We've talked about it. It's got to win 10 in a row. Getting there one step at a time.
So, Dalton, you have the Navy offense in this one with their complex run schemes against Notre Dame. What should we know on that side of the ball?
Well, of course, I just have to talk about the run defense in general. And look, this has actually been an underrated unit for Notre Dame this year. The 21st in the nation in run defense grade, 13th. I think their linebackers are really the catalyst for this and how good they've been. The D-line has been solid too, but their linebackers, and I'll talk about one of them in a second, have been outstanding. Drake Bowen and those guys are really good. 13th in yards per carry allowed, 14th in yards after contact per carry allowed. That's big with this Navy offense that wants to get out on the edges with all the schemes that they do have and win in open space. You've got to make open field tackles. Notre Dame is really good at that. The one guy I want to put a spotlight on, right, because they've got great linebackers, right? You talk about Drake Bowen's a heavy hammer Mike linebacker. You have Jalen Sneed back there too, but the true sophomore, number 27, Kingston Viliamu-Asa, I actually think he's the most interesting player in their front 7, Max. He's got kind of this split role where when they're in a 4-down front, he's a linebacker. When they want to go to a 5-down front, he can play off the edge, and he's really darn good. He is honestly, he's by far Notre Dame's highest graded run defender this year. Actually, I believe it's a 91.4 run defense grade. The dual role that he plays to play off the edge if they want to go into a heavier front, or if they're in a more basic 4-man front to play back there with Drake Bowen, he has been so good, and he keeps getting better throughout the season. It's almost like the same way I see Vic Fangio for the Philadelphia Eagles use Zach Bond or Jahad Campbell in that hybrid role. Viliamu-Asa is a very important part. I would argue almost the most important part for their run defense. He's been the highest graded guy in that facet this year and the most versatile guy in kind of that 50-50 role. Number 27, watch out for him for Notre Dame's defense.
Yeah, I have really the same matchup as can Navy contain Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price enough in this one, because Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price is the best backfield that we have in college football right now. Jeremiah Love, 90.5 rushing grade, leads the power forward, 25 explosive runs are the third most in the entire country. He's currently plus 4,000 to win the Heisman Trophy right now on DraftKings Sportsbook, which is easily the best odds of any running back in America. Jadarian Price, meanwhile, is 15th in the Power 4 with 8 rushing touchdowns this year and 27th in the Power 4 in yards per carry and yards after contact per carry. Navy, meanwhile, only 95th in team run defense grade this year. And just this past weekend, Dalton, they played Caleb Hawkins. If you don't know, Caleb Hawkins is the only running back in America with a higher rushing grade than Jeremiah Love. And what did Caleb Hawkins do? He ran for 197 yards and 4 touchdowns against the midshipmen. So you go from the running back with the highest rushing grade in the country in Caleb Hawkins, who just torched your run defense, to the guy who's number 2 right behind him, and I would argue the best running back in the country in Jeremiah Love. And even last year, when Navy played Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love had an 89 rushing grade and averaged 8.5 yards per carry against Navy. If the midshipmen don't bring their hard hats in run defense, it's going to be another long night for that defense.
Yep, look, you don't – this Notre Dame offense is really pick your poison. It is, because C.J. Carr's played excellent football this year, and you've got all the guys on the outside,
you can't stack the boxing on them, really.
You can't stack the box, but then you have to tackle Love and Price on the ground. It's tough. I mean, even when you go back and obviously, look, you look at last year's game. Yes, Navy turned the ball over 6 times. That was a huge problem, but Notre Dame put 55 points on this team last year, too, with mostly this same crew, and now you've got C.J. Carr, I would argue, throwing the ball even better than Riley Leonard did last year. So, no, I think if Navy really wants to be in this game, they're probably going to have to score a lot of points. And there's been several weeks here where their defense, they gave up 30 points to Temple, and that's a good offense, but this is a different beast with Notre Dame here, and it does start with Love and Price in the backfield.
So ultimately, will Navy pull off maybe the biggest upset of the entire year over Notre Dame and kill the Fighting Irish's hopes for a playoff, or will Notre Dame continue to state their case to make the playoff this year with a win over Navy?
I just remember, honestly, when we previewed this game last year, I picked Notre Dame to win, but I was like, Navy's spunky, man. They got guys. This is going to be a close one. I kind of threw out the sirens on this one. I'm not doing it this time. Notre Dame's they've got too much talent, too much speed on offense, especially. Jeremiah Love he is what he is, right?
Yeah.
He's the best back in the country. And what we saw from Navy's defense, especially, there's been a few weeks, but last week against North Texas, they just got off to the start that they did, and Navy never really had an answer, especially for Caleb Hawkins, one of the best backs in the country, also, like you mentioned. Notre Dame 42, Navy 17. We move on with the Fighting Irish. And Navy, look, does it do a whole lot as far as their playoff chances? Not really, because they still have a shot to win the conference. The loss to North Texas doesn't help, but this is part of kind of this murderer's row stretch here. They have North Texas, Navy, they got to bounce back and play USF. That's not easy either, and we're going to be previewing that game most likely as well. So I think Notre Dame takes care of business moving on to the rest of the schedule.
I have Notre Dame winning big as well, but I have Navy covering. I have 41-20. I have Notre Dame beating the midshipmen. I think Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price will run wild on Navy, while the Fighting Irish, who've been really good in run defense this year, steps up just enough for Notre Dame to win by 3 touchdowns against Navy. So I got 41-20, Notre Dame over Navy.